On Two Wheels this week, Jeff gets the lowdown on the California Superbike School's latest teaching aid, the slide machine. Wayne is back in Yorkshire for some more advice on ladies' bike gear. And Jeff meets possibly the world's most famous MV Agusta owner, Phil Reed. We've another top tip, but first I take a ride on a rather different looking Ducati. There are certain words in the bike world which conjure up certain images. One such word is Ducati. What does that make you think of? Could be a bright yellow 748 or a sexy red 916 or a 996. Big shiny sports bikes. But Ducati make another machine, and the last thing you describe that as is a sports bike, and it certainly isn't shiny. In fact, it's black. It's completely black. Sort of almost matte black really. It's got a kind of satin finish on it. And the only thing that is shiny about this are the wing mirrors, and they're actually useless as well, but more of them later. Ducati launched their first Monster back in 1993. It was 900cc's and it quickly earned itself a bit of a cult status, with its aggressive looks and thumping V-twin power. This 600cc Monster Dark didn't arrive until 1998, and it was aimed at the rider who still wanted to be different, but perhaps didn't need quite as much power. It's more user-friendly, but it maintains the same aggressive image as its big brother. Yeah, it's definitely got a certain image about it, this bike. I think you either love it or you hate it, and really what you see is what you get, because you can see virtually everything. There's no fairing, there's no plastic work or anything at all to worry about. Instead, we've got this open trellis style frame here, typical of Ducati and often copied by other manufacturers. And you can see everything that's going on, all the electric pipes there, all the electric work, all the pipe work, it's all there clearly on view. Now, you might think that looks nice, it looks quite trendy, you might think, but I have to tell you, there are a few miles in bad weather and all of that is absolutely covered in muck. You've not got to go very far before you've got one heck of a cleaning job on your hands there, so might not be a good bike for the bad weather. Down here, there's the heart of the beast. Big Ducati V-twin, 90-degree V-twin there, 90 degrees between the two cylinders, 583cc's that, air-cooled, running a 5-speed gearbox as opposed to the more common 6-speed. And it develops just a touch over 50 brake horsepower, which you might not think is very impressive for a bike which is the best part of 600cc's, but it's a twin, remember, and it develops all its power very low down. They're very, very torquey twins, especially one like this, especially a big V-twin. Now let's just move a little bit further back to the seat. In particular, I want to just show you this under here. Pop the key in there, quick turn, the seat comes off nice and easy like that. There it is, one piece dual seat. Dual seat, not much of a pillion pad, but anyway, there you go. Not a lot to talk about under there, in fact nothing to talk about under there, because there's no room for anything. You could probably fit, you might fit your lunch under there if you were just having cream crackers, but that'd be about it. There's the top of the linkage for the rear monoshock there, but nothing else to talk about at all. But I do want to show you this fantastic Ducati toolkit. Let me just show you this. This will impress you now here. Watch this. There you go. See, there's nothing left in the pouch. There it is. There's your toolkit. Look at that. That's fantastic, isn't it? I've got a bigger toolkit than that on my mountain bike actually. What you're supposed to fix with that, I don't know. Perhaps you're not supposed to mess with this bike. Take it in and pay a fortune to have it serviced instead. So there we go. So that's the seat. Tank, that moves as well. You can unclip the tank there. There's got this clasp on it here. That unclips and the whole thing hinges up like that. And there's a little stay down here, which you clip on the edge there. And you can lift the tank up. The only reason you want to do that, of course, is to get access to the battery. Big airbox there, but there's the battery there. So that's nice, easy access to the battery. But really, not much else to talk about underneath there. I do want to talk about this, the dashboard. Let me show you this, because this is basic as well. I keep going about being basic bike, but it really is, and it's basic, but it's functional. We've got a speedo, there's no rev counter, nothing fancy, no fancy surrounds. It's black, we're getting the whole bike's black plastics around, and all your warning lamps there. But there is a slight, it's not a problem, but it's something that just caught me out on here. If I switch the ignition on, if you watch this here, if you're running with your lights on, which I do all the time, put my lights on, you get a green light showing you that you've got your lights on. Just above that is the neutral light, and if I just knock it into neutral, there you go, the neutral light's on. So you've got two green lights next to each other. So you're sat at traffic lights with it in gear, like that, and you think these lights are never going to go to green, I think I'll let my clutch out. Am I in neutral? A quick glance down, you catch a green light out the corner of your eye, you think I'm in neutral. So you let the clutch out and you go, and you stall it. Caught me out a couple of times. I know you'd get used to it very, very quickly, but it did actually catch me out. I don't mind owning up about twice. And that's not the only thing which could catch you out. The Monster steers and changes direction incredibly fast. Just the slightest push on the bars and before you know it, you could easily be facing the opposite direction. It's not a problem. In fact, it's absolutely fantastic once you get the hang of it. What this machine lacks in performance, it certainly makes up for in manoeuvrability. And it's almost impossible to scare yourself on this bike. You'd need to get things completely wrong before the Monster gets anything like out of shape. Because there's not really enough power to frighten you, there is a tendency to ride like a complete lunatic. And unlike the 900cc Monster, there's no chance of the front wheel lifting under hard acceleration, and it's nigh on impossible to get the back wheel spinning out of a corner. You know, the one thing I can't work out about the Monster is which class it fits into. What type of bike it is, I'm not really sure. It's certainly not a sports bike. It's not a retro bike. I suppose it's what you would call a street bike, a naked street bike at that. The riding position also is a bit of a mixture of a few bikes, if you ask me. Seat is very, very low. You can get your feet flat on the ground, no problem, so short riders might like to try one of these. But the position of the foot pegs is, well, it's very sporty actually, because if, like me, you like to ride with the balls of your feet on the pegs, that's the way I tend to ride most of the time, certainly around the country lanes, it does push your feet backwards and quite high, and your legs are quite bent, even more so than they would be on some sports bikes. And that tends to tip you forward onto these bars, which are anything but sporty. Quite wide and fairly high, and you get a big wind blast on your chest there. Now down to my final moan, these things, the wing mirrors. Remember, right at the start I said more of them later? Well, here goes. Watch this. They tip you forward, the foot pegs, you lean forward, your arms are bent. Just look where my arms are now. Straight in line with the wing mirrors. Completely useless. You need to drop your arm like that if you want to see behind you. It really is a pain. Now the front end of this has got all the aerodynamics of a London bus. So it isn't built for speed, so then why not make the wing mirrors just a little bit wider? They could go out 2 inches either side. You're not going to affect the handling, you're not going to affect the aerodynamics in any way, and at least you'll be able to see what was behind you. So that's it, all the moaning over with. You probably think I hate this thing now, don't you? Well, I don't, I quite like it, and the more I ride it, the more I like it. I think you really do need to get to know the bike. It handles fantastic, and if you got into a problem with this, then you really are doing something very, very wrong, because it's an easy bike to ride, quite forgiving. Handles great, as I say. Brembo calipers, front and back, so they're really good. Upside down forks, it's got everything. In the mechanical department, everything is spot on. There's just a few little things I'm not quite 100% happy with, especially this colour, this sort of matte satin black finish. I'm not sure that's my cup of tea. But the best thing, and the thing I like most about this, is the price. Because if you dare to be different and you fancy owning a Monster Dark, it'll cost you on the road just £4,200, and that's not bad.
Back at the BMF show earlier this year, we featured the California Superbike School slide bike, and here it is in action. But just what is it supposed to do? I asked instructor Andy Ibbott to explain.
Andy, that was pretty impressive stuff out there, hanging that back end out, but it doesn't look that easy. I mean, how much is there to it?
Well, basically, it's something that we don't teach people until level 4, okay, because of the reasons of what it's designed to do. Is good throttle control. Okay, you may have noticed with me on there that when the back end stepped out, rather than snap the throttle closed, which is what most people do, I actually held it open.
Yeah.
Okay, now that keeps the slide going, or if you hold the throttle constantly, it just lets it run out of revs and pull back in nicely on its own. The purpose of the bike is so that you and I, if we go out on the road and we lose the back end, rather than chopping the throttle closed, which will ultimately result in a high side.
Which is the natural instinct.
Absolutely the natural instinct. We try and train people just to keep it open.
Yeah. Simple as that.
That's the theory behind it. I will say that it does take a lot of confidence to hang it out.
Andy, on your slide bike, you got these outriggers with sort of shock absorbers on it. What's all that about? What's it actually doing? Stopping you falling off, or?
Okay, well the slide bike, as we call it, the slide machine, serves two purposes. On level 2, which is what you see going on behind us, it helps to enable people to have a little bit more confidence about lean angle. If I'm completely honest, it doesn't take your entire weight, and it's not designed to do so because it wouldn't then feel like a real motorcycle.
Right.
Okay, and then level 4, which you may see later, we teach people very good throttle control. What JC in the background here is trying to achieve is he's trying to get two things. One, the person's looking into the turn that he's creating so he can see where he wants to go, and two, that he's not putting any pressure on the inside handlebar. Putting pressure on the inside handlebar makes the bike run wide.
Yeah.
So we're trying to alleviate that problem.
Right. And I can see that it is this looking ahead business. That's the important thing, isn't it? Don't look where you're going, or look where you're ultimately going. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's a great thing to say about you go where you look. That's fine to a point, but if you can start working ahead of that and predicting where you want to be, seeing where you want to be rather than where you are at now, that makes all the difference. But to be perfectly honest, the big difference between a world champion and somebody who runs on the back is what they're doing with their eyes, how they're processing that visual information. And this is just one of the things that we teach at the school.
Right, so it doesn't stop you dropping it then?
No, we do try and tell people that it's not uncrashable. You know, we had one person who turned up with Keith Code in August, who rode the bike along, went from first to second, and then tipped the bike in at less than walking pace, and somewhat surprisingly, it fell over. And I believe Keith's quote is, "My goodness, I'm never amazed by the amount of faith people have in technology."
Wow, now watching Andy doing that, it's really impressive. It's really Hargersand stuff, getting that backhand stipping out. Now, I fancied a little crack at this myself, but I'm not so sure. I think this is really an acquired art. I think I'll leave it to the expert.
And after the break, Wayne's into women's bike gear in Yorkshire and Jeff chats with Phil Reed.
So this is a nice flowery ladies' summer's dress, nice and light, nice and cool for those summer's days. And to go with it, obviously, you need the appropriate coloured underwear, and we have a nice brassiere and a pair of trolleys. Lovely. What's your problem? Oh, I see. Oh, ladies' bike clothing. Oh, right. I do apologise. Well, if we're going to talk bike clothing, we need to ask an expert, and I have got an expert over here. I have got Martha. Martha,
hi,
we spoke to you a few weeks ago, didn't we?
Yeah.
And that was ace. We now know that you know what you're doing. You obviously know your stuff. So we need to ask a few questions to help our lady viewers out there when they're buying a bit of kit. Now, something I've noticed. Fellas used to come in our shop and say to me, I've got a helmet that I'm letting my missus have, and I want something for myself. And she can have my old one and stick a bit of padding in. I didn't like that.
No, that's
it's not
really
on, is
bad.
it? No.
It's not safe.
It's not safe. And there's no need, is there?
No, there's no need, because you can get a helmet for like £40. Really nice helmet.
40
and
quid. I mean,
these start
perfect,
from
isn't it? But what size?
size 52, so that's extra small.
So that'll suit the smallest
yeah.
of petite ladies and the odd child, won't it, really?
Yeah.
Right the way through for
and
40 quid.
Men with really large heads as well.
Why do they do big ones?
Yeah,
Is
64.
Oh, well then, you're sorted. So that's that. That's an FM, isn't it?
Yeah.
What else could we offer to so if a lady, just perhaps if she wants to spend a couple of bob more, I mean, we've got something else.
Yeah,
See, I like these V-Mars here. That's quite
that's
nice.
Lovely.
Yeah.
It's really quiet helmet.
Yeah. And how much would that cost?
That's £69.99.
Yeah.
It comes in lots of different colours. So
All right,
there's quite a wide choice of colours.
Yeah.
And although it says extra small, and usually extra small means a 54,
Yeah.
it is a really small fitting, so it probably fits somebody with a size 52 head.
All right, so this is something you've discovered with your own experience. As
yeah.
you've been trying helmets on people, you've realised that certain brands are smaller than others.
That's right, yeah.
And they suit different people. Because shape of head's the thing, isn't it, really, when it comes
Everybody's
to
got a different shaped head,
yeah. So there's no need anymore to have his old one, you might say, or even have a donation of an old helmet. Just buy a new one, because it's not a lot of money.
Yeah,
all right, well, we've done the top bit. Can we just go down further? Pop that back. Boots. Now, another annoying thing, Martha, I see it so often. Ladies, often on the back of the bike rather than riding, wearing boots that were in the wardrobe 20 years ago with flipping high heels and everything.
I know what you
mean, what do you think of that? It's daft, isn't it?
Yeah, it's definitely daft.
So, is there an option for them?
Well, yeah, some ladies that might not go on the bike all the time, something like that, which is ideal because you can wear it on the bike and off the bike.
Yeah, you
it's
can
got
kick around
protection.
in them, can't you? Yeah,
They're
yeah.
waterproof.
So they're waterproof and they're
Yeah.
only 50 quid.
Mm.
Well, that's
Yeah.
like buying a good pair of hiking boots, isn't it?
Yeah.
But it's got ankle protection and everything else.
That's right. And
But
they
what
start.
Sorry,
I'm butting
yeah.
in.
No, not at all. Go on, tell me what.
Well, they start from a size 4 up to a size 13.
Blinking
well.
it. Big ladies.
Yeah.
No, I mean,
No, men.
So they do the fellas as well, but
Yeah.
the size 4s. But there's quite a lot of boots available that do start smaller sizes as well, isn't
Yeah.
there? So ladies are catered for nowadays in a range of boots.
Yeah.
But if you were a bike rider rather than a passenger, you'd really want a rather more specific boot, wouldn't you?
You'd want something like this.
Yeah.
Something a lot stronger, especially if you've got your own bike as well, especially.
Yeah.
Something
yeah.
like that. They're brilliant. I wear these.
Do you?
And
Oh,
two of the
so
Saturday
you can
girls wear
recommend
these
them.
as well.
And these
yeah.
are Vendramini, aren't they? These are Italian boots and all
Italian.
that, yeah.
Leather
Leather
line.
line, the lot. Yeah, they're obviously a lovely boot. What do they sell for?
They sell for £98.50.
Yeah, do they? Yeah. So I mean, they are costing a little bit more, but the truth is they're specific for the job. If you're riding a sports bike or using a bike often, you do need a proper good pair of boots like that, don't you? Yeah. All right. Well, having gone from the boots, hands. Now, I know that ladies do struggle here because some gloves are really just small gents, aren't they? And then there are gloves that are specifically for ladies, longer in the fingers, slightly less wider in the palm. Yeah. What we got here then?
Right, we've got.
Are you
got
hooked
it
up?
caught, yeah. This comes in ladies' sizes and men's. Again, I wear these.
Yeah. See, that is unusual. I know that's why it's unusual. I mean, to a lot of people out there, that looks like a regular sports glove with a hard carbon piece on there. I tell you what I have noticed here. See, this glove's like a very basic but touring style glove with a waterproof line and quite thick with insulate. But that is so different. That's a proper sports glove, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
And that is so unusual, really, for ladies. I mean, they're not normally catered for with sports, racy style gear, but that one is.
Yeah, they do this one in lady sizes,
Do they,
extra small,
Yeah.
and
How
it's
much are
a really comfortable
Price
glove.
tag on
£60.
that? 60 quid,
yeah.
quite good. Really quite good for a carbon
Yeah,
glove.
and they're very good for hitting naughty car drivers as well.
I hope you don't include me in that equation.
No, can't.
Frightening. Right, well, we've done now. We've done the boots, we've done the helmet, we've done the gloves, and obviously ladies are catered for. They've just got to go out there and get advice, haven't they, from people of the right kit to have. Talking advice, would you help us out perhaps in a future programme and explain what ladies can have in the way of waterproofs and leather gear and so on and so forth?
Yeah,
You'll do that for us.
Win,
Oh, that's excellent.
definitely.
Thanks very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Meanwhile, what about, I've got a tape measure in my pocket. I don't suppose you want to measure me inside out.
No, you better watch it or I'm going to hit you with
Oh,
it.
good lord.
Phil Reed, the man himself. It's good to see you with an MV Agusta because I always associate you with MVs. But tell us about this one. This is your own, isn't it?
Yes, it is. I was very lucky actually, and the president of MV, Claudio Castiglione, decided he'd like to give me one. And he was in Japan at the time when I went to Italy, and I had the great honour of being presented this by its designer, Massimo Tamburini.
Oh, fantastic. And yeah, did you meet old Giacomo Agostini and all the rest of them?
Actually, we had him over for a talk last month, and that was really, really good. Yeah, we're great friends now. And
oh, that's excellent. But tell me, this one isn't quite standard, is it? I see you got your carbon fibre rear wheel. And
well, would you believe it? I had the audacity to feel I could make this even better.
Yeah.
No, because I felt for a number of years that carbon wheels are the step forward, because not only are they lighter, but the most important thing is the decrease in gyroscopic effect.
Yeah.
So it makes the bikes feel like a 250.
Yeah.
Because there's less gyroscopic effect to overcome.
Yeah.
And also they look fantastic.
Yeah, they do look nice. And you got a new hugger on there as well.
Well, it needs a hugger. It comes without a hugger, and I wanted something really special that worked. So that is the mould now. We're doing a bit of research on that, see how the public like it.
Excellent.
And, also, they put a plastic seat on there. Well, I think that's sacrilege for the Ferrari of the motorcycle world. So I put a chamois seat on, which we're offering these various kits for.
That's a nice link, because back in the racing days, they used to have a chamois seat, didn't they, on the racing MVs, that I seem to remember?
When I first rode MVs, they had it on the shiny side, so I suggested, being a young lad, that they turned it over so I could actually sit on the seat without sliding around. And they tried it for me, and Agostini liked it, and now they've standardised.
And that was it, yeah. Oh, another claim. You should have paid to do that idea.
But also, I've got to say, I brought magnesium wheels to them.
Yeah.
And disc brakes, would you believe?
Did they?
And,
what a claim to fame. Tell me, your linkage with MV, how did that start? Because you started your racing in the early 60s, didn't you?
You could say that. Or
Well, he was though, was
even
it?
50s.
Even 50s, yeah. Was it Struth? Was it that far back? You've
ever.
aged well, Phil. You've aged well.
Thank you. No, I was at the first ever race meeting in Mallory Park.
Yeah.
30th of May 1956.
Yeah.
Which was incredible.
Right. Amazing. And what was that on in those days?
That was only 350 Gold Star.
All right. Yeah.
But I think I raced last year in Manx Grand Prix, so you know, I can't give it up. I must be mad.
No, you're not mad.
No,
You're
it's
not
good
mad.
fun.
I mean, you've always enjoyed it,
I
haven't
mean,
you?
the people are lovely. People involved in bike racing and classic bikes are really lovely people.
Yeah.
And I trained as an engineer, and it does really interest me and fascinate me to make this bike even better.
Now, not so much a tech tip, this more of a good idea, because you see this bike, this Honda Shadow, belongs to my mate Mike, who works in our props department, and he got a bit fed up of going up and down the motorway all day to and from work like this, hanging on to the bars. He wanted to lean back on something, but he had no backrest, and the sissy bar was a little bit too far back for him to lean on, of course. So he's now got a backrest. Look at this. Looks okay, doesn't it? Until I tell you what it is. It's actually a grab rail. Yes, look, a grab rail which would normally fit that way around on the back of the bike there. Believe it or not, this is off a Suzuki, a GN250. GN400 is exactly the same. And he was dead lucky, Mike, because he tried it on and the little holes for mounting the grab rail fitted perfectly with the existing holes for mounting the sissy bar and the seat, so he had no drilling or anything to do. All he's done is he's trimmed the end of the grab rail off there, a couple of rubber bungs on the end there, you get them from a DIY shop. These are actually off a microphone stand, don't know where he got them, not asked him. And there you go. Bit of foam on there, bit of sponge and some tape around it to stop it getting all soggy and damp and horrible. And you've got a smashing little backrest. Hey, how about that? Dead clever. And on Two Wheels next week, something a little different. Richard takes a ride on a 750cc Baby VMAX. And if the recent International Bike Show has whetted your appetite for climbing aboard Two Wheels, then you'll need a licence. Next week, we'll show you how.